Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Because I said in a moment of hubris that I would be using a piece of the Troy-Bilt lawnmower's pallet in the birdhouse, I've pretty much locked into having to do it. The only place I can see that I can use a piece of this horrible pallet wood that came out of that pallet, out of the crate, is to use it as the backer for the door opening. The door opening on the birdhouse tends to get chewed up pretty badly, so if I leave it just with the 1/4-inch plywood, the 1/4-inch plywood is going to get just eaten away because birds are not respectful of their home. So I'm going to use a piece of this and tuck it into the front panel here and glue it in place so that when I drill the hole through, I'll have a good solid piece of wood in behind it to kind of take some of the abuse. Now I expect over time I'll have to replace that a few times, and we'll see how that works, but in the meantime I'm going to follow through with my promise, use a piece of this, well, we're going to call it wood. This is the sappiest, gummiest piece of heartwood cut out of a 2x4 left over from a log that was too small to make anything else out of. And you can tell by the tons of knots in here that the trunk of this tree was barely big enough to call it a tree. So that's what we're going to do. And this is going to be the backer. And it just happens to tuck in there through no planning on my part, but it tucks in there just about perfect. Take my handy dandy adjustment tool here and cut off those corners so that they won't be interfering with the roof. There. Now I'll put some glue on this and a clamp, and that'll reinforce that front wall, make it so the birdhouse lasts a bit longer. Since gravity is an ever-present situation for us, we might as well use it to our advantage and make it so that the things I'm gluing in here have a really good chance of staying. There. A long reach clamp like this has a multitude of uses. You can't put much pressure on it because it's really weak. But in this situation I don't need a lot of pressure. All I need to have it do is go in there and hold this piece of wood in place. There. Got one at the outside edge. one at the inside. Now, this is a cheap Harbor Freight clamp. I think it cost me like $4. You cannot overstress it. If you pull it too tight, it'll just snap. It'll break right here. Just gone. But for most situations, if all I want to do is just hold something in place, it's going to do a fine job. And it'll reach in there a long, long ways. So now, I just let that sit. A couple hours, I'll be able to drill the hole and then paint. And that's the goal for today, is to get some paint on this birdhouse so that I can finish the project. The window opening, or in this case the birdhouse door, is going to be 7 inches up from the bottom. Bluebirds like to have a cavity depth between 6 and 10 inches below the hole. Well, I planned on painting this today, but needs must. Amazon couldn't come through with a shelf that we needed for the pantry, so Old Sneelock Incorporated's got another contract. As soon as I get the shelf finished, I'll come back to this. This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.